Guess who's here? Good morning. That's when I'm saying this, when I'm doing this, of course. Tuesday, the 13th of May, it's an election day. I'll be going to vote here in a little while. I'm up early. So, cheers. Thank you, viewers. When I showed the Opa yesterday, I said they were Brazilian off the top of my head. They're from Uruguay. And at one time in the distant past, I actually knew that and forgot. So I'm just going off the sound of the music and the fact that Hermeto Pascoal is on the album. Oh, yeah, they're Brazilian. No, they're from Uruguay. Thanks for that. And I just love that, again, that my collection is international. Also, probably fortunate for the people of Uruguay, we don't hear about them in the news. So I guess things are pretty copacetic in Uruguay. I don't know. Cheers, people. Got a few things to share today. It's all music. So I knew that my one of my bookshelves is obscured by a PA setup, a small PA that I have for rehearsals and just for whatever, and the bookshelf is behind it. So I moved that because I wanted to find my and show you my copy of Krautrock Sampler. This is the third edition. It's not the first or second. It's the third edition. I see that first editions are going for as much as $500 online. This is in pristine shape. I've actually read it, but very carefully with the binding. Already it would, and on top of that, this is a gift. I forget who gave it to me. So I've read it carefully. Excuse me. Man, hate it when it happens. And as I open it up to the illustrated part and look, because I haven't looked at the illustrated part for quite a while, I have 90% of the records he shows here. 90% of them, not all originals, but I have them. I'm going to keep going here unless my health breaks down in the video. I know I just woke up, but it's like, come on, body, just settle in. Wearing one of my old tour t-shirts. I saw this tour, saw 3 shows on this tour. Portland, Seattle, and Kansas City. I saw them 3 times. Went out and had a beer with John Wesley, who was touring with Porcupine Tree at the time. Just missed meeting Richard Barbieri. Encountered Stephen Wilson before the show, but I could tell he did not want to be bothered, so I didn't say a word. I just looked at him. And, as he walked past me into the back of the venue, because I was in the back talking to John Henry, and I could just tell, it's like, Steve Wilson's busy, leave him alone. But with that, I watched a recent interview between him and John Robb, the journalist who used to be in the band The Membranes. And it's a very good conversation between almost like friends. And I really vibe a lot with Stephen Wilson's point of view regarding psychedelic music, progressive music, and the through line from psychedelic music to post-punk music like Wire, XTC, Joy Division, and bands like that, who Magazine, who in many ways were progressive in their own ways. So that was enjoyable. Something else very nice occurred yesterday. Very nice. So, as I have said many times over the years, that in the early days of the 80s, when I put together the band Digital Sex, I was toying with trying to see what could happen as far as making it as a band in the business. But bottom line is that I was never motivated to buy business. I was motivated to make records. So I've made a lot of records, and when I receive attention for it in the media, or people, show me that they're buying my records, it's a great plus. I love it. Okay. Whereas the opposite is for Stephen Wilson. He was saying how on his latest album, which I just played recently, I ought to talk about it. It's his most commercially successful album to date. But he's told the record company, "Don't send me reviews, good or bad. I don't read them." And I understand his point of view. He says it's hard. You can't. It's almost impossible to not take it personally, especially the negative. I understand that. But me being a nobody, when I get any attention at all, it's great. It's great. So yesterday on Instagram, on the Dark Entries, on their site page, was a post about the album that I'm on, Deep Entries, Gay Electronic Excursions, 1980 to 1985. This came out last year, and they licensed a track from me. This was something. I have to grab it. It's off of my first record. It's right here. Let me tell this story. It was very nice. So I don't even know how they came across me, or why they decided that my track fits their agenda, because I am not openly gay, never have been. I'm fine with gay. I have experience in the gay community, but I don't self-identify beyond being a human being, okay, and sexual. But somehow they decided to contact me and ask to use a track off my very first 7-inch EP. This is the second record I ever made. My first record was Norman and the Rockwells. The cover design is by my older brother James. He did that for me. He designed that for me. It was at that time in the early 80s when I was into everything, including industrial music, throbbing gristle. And he knew that. And so it reflects that awareness. But anyway, yesterday on Instagram, the Dark Entries, the label, posted where, and I've been following this, so it's just a real kick for me. So I'm taking my time explaining it. On YouTube, Amoeba Music, the record store out in California, great store, shop there. They have a series called "What's in My Bag," when they ask artists, traveling artists, whoever coming through the store, to do a segment. What did you buy today, or what do you want to show us? The latest installment, which was posted yesterday, is with the band Refused. Good band. I don't have the record, but they have that song, "Can I Scream?" That's how it starts. Pretty cool. They were the latest people shopping and showing what they bought, and one of the records they bought was the Deep Entries. And as they talk about it and show it, the guy says, "I don't know anything about these guys, but what it's about interests me." And as he's talking about it, you see my name flashed as he's holding the record and talking about it. For me, that's a wonderful kick to see, to have that exposure. Love it. Made my day. And I also thought I would show here where on the inside here, there's a big fold out with information about all the artists. There I am. And if you look closely, remember my hippie jeans from my teenage years I showed you? There they are. That's an old picture of me. I'm probably, this is taken down in Port Aransas, Texas, standing on top of a cabin that I'm staying in, and I'm maybe 18 in this picture. They didn't want a current picture. They wanted something more representative of the time of the recording that they were licensed from me. So I thought I'd share that. And consequently, when I posted it in one of the music groups, I got a response from a friend or an associate who I don't actually know, who I guess runs a record store, and said, well, I just got in a copy of this, but I didn't look at it. I didn't realize you were on it. I'm going to have to order more copies now so I can get one personally. Yes. Very cool. I'm quite happy to be associated. If people think I'm gay, that's fine. I'm not, it's no one's business what I do, but frankly, I don't do anything. I haven't for a while. My life is non-sexual. It's just, it's more manageable. It's been a long time. There's nothing embarrassing about sharing that with you. A lot of people, not by necessity, but by choice, are like me, pretty much sexless. People are just a pain in the ass on that level for me. Too much work. Not interested. So, Dan, if you hear this, because I know that you listen sometimes and not watch at work or on your way to work, that was great to hear that you were a fan of Peggy Suicide by Julian Cope. Another reference to the Stephen Wilson interview, because I like him. I think he's very intelligent. He talked about how the fact that he, at his age, he was a teenager in the 80s, much of the prog music that he loves and is associated with was not of his time. It was before his time. And he explained how of his time, he's talking about bands like The Cure, XTC, Joy Division, Wire, and Magazine, and he made the connection, like I just said, where some of that stuff is pretty much prog. What's interesting is, because of my nerdiness, I never stopped feeling part of youth culture until probably the 90s. All through the 80s, all through my 20s and early 30s, I was excited by what's going on. So it was great to hear, Dan, that you were a fan of this album and you did like what I would do when I was young. Make people listen to the record. I said, listen to this. So I put this on yesterday. Here's Squubsy. Played it, listened to Double Vegetation. I hadn't played that in quite a while. Safe Surfer. Julian Cope is a badass. He is. He is a badass. So that was very enjoyable yesterday. And it led to somehow this next play. There was some video involved yesterday. I watched some Teardrop explode on video, looking at how nerdy and geeked out Julian Cope was, and he just didn't care. He was not a cool rock star, at first with Teardrop Explodes. He developed a bigger persona for stage as he went into his solo years, I think. He's very geeky in the Teardrop Explodes videos. Okay, so that's it. So I'm out there, and I'm in my 80s folder, looking at Teardrop Explodes, and Joy Division caught my attention, so I watched the video that they made for Atmosphere after Ian Curtis's death. But I didn't play the record Atmosphere. I watched the video, and then I played this version of She's Lost Control. Is a banger. It's a banger. It's fantastic. Now, that's the other thing I want to say about this and several artists that I love from the past, it doesn't resonate to me like teen music, like it's music from my past. Like Joy Division, this feels very grown up, very much eternal. And I must say again that it was Joy Division's first album in particular, besides Pink Flag by Wire, that made me think I can do this. I know how to play already, but I can start a band. They inspired me. And I got the Joy Division. It's all right here. Yep, it's all right here. I used to have, when I first found out about them, I had an original of this, An Ideal for Living. I got a good sum for it, but it was again when I was in a confused mental state. I wasn't well. So I've replaced it with this reissue, Warsaw. Magnificent. This is not a see-through, but this is still a first edition. I found that out, that not all the first editions are the reddish see-through. You know, some of the first editions are this, black. I was one of the first people to get this album in Omaha. I know that. It was still associated with Homer's, working on and off down there when it came in. What an amazing song. We used to play it. Well, actually, my band, Digital Sex, we covered several Joy Division and New Order songs. Love Will Tear Us Apart, Inner Zone, those pop up right away. Love the design of the records. And this album is very hard to listen to because when it came out was when my dad died by choice, which is suicide. It's a long story. I've told it. I'm not telling it again. So this, it's like when this came out, it was like it's so obvious. This is the cover, the words, the mood of the album. It's so obvious. Ian Curtis was saying goodbye. Heavy album. It's hard to listen to. And then still, I'm living in the Ice Age. Love that song. Yeah. Important music. And it was really cool to hear Steven Wilson talk about it the way he did, because I feel the same way. I don't draw a line of demarcation between genres of music like I used to. Even when I was doing it, because that's what everyone does, I was realizing the connection. It's all connected. This version of She Lost Control is so powerful. So powerful. I love the way it's recorded. I'm not exactly sure how I got there, but from there, I wanted to hear Across the Universe by the Beatles. Something brought it up. I can't remember what. I like to share when I know that. So I started with the vinyl. This is my least favorite Beatles album. Frankly, I've never liked the album. Excuse me. So I endeavored to play it yesterday, mainly to hear Across the Universe. That's my song. Now that is a beautiful, wonderful John Lennon song. And I started with the vinyl. My copy is beat. I bought it used. And comments. I love the Green Apple label. I never liked it when they started making red versions of the label. I thought to myself, that's not nearly as cool as the Green Apple to my eyes. So I started here with Let It Be on vinyl, and then I thought to myself, I never play it, but I have Let It Be Naked. So I listened to some of this, starting with Across the Universe. I like the produced version better. It has that. Is this the one that everyone complains about? That Phil Spector. But it's got that wobbly guitar on across the universe, like it's come going through a Leslie or something like that. That is that I think helps make it a Beatles song as opposed to a John Lennon song. But I went ahead and played a lot of this because it's like I can't remember the last time I played this, and then it was almost like I forgot. It has the second disc where it's just a recording of them jamming, getting ready to record. I had never listened to it, so I played a little bit of that yesterday. As you know, I love the Beatles, so that's it. That's truly what I have to share musically today. Cheers. It's warming up. You're going to be in the 90s by tomorrow and possibly even today. So one of the things I don't like about how hot it gets is I like to open up the house and have a lot of light in. But when it's hot, I have to leave the curtains all closed in the living room. It really does preserve the temperature for a little while anyway. So this morning, I'll go sit outside. Oh, it's 8 o'clock now. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to go and vote. So that's what I have to share. I'm absolutely chuffed and happy to be associated. Have to have this song, my music, associated with the gay community. I love humanity. I love all my brothers and sisters, and I love freedom. I have my own experience in my 20s checking out the gay community. It's not my scene. I had mostly shitty experiences, honestly. So, but those people can do what they want, okay? They're not hurting nobody. I don't even like the fact that some of that S&M stuff, people like to hurt themselves. I don't even want to know about it. Okay, so make it a great day, people. Make it a great evening whenever you see this, all right?